A while back, I made a video that ended up a lot sadder than I wanted it to be, and because of that absolute emotional upheaval, I felt like writing some true fluff. And what better way to write fluff than to give Itachi some of the things he was denied in canon? What if Itachi never got sick? What if he never had to kill his clan? What if Shisui survived? Itachi was a tragic character written to prove a point about the sacrifices people need to make for freedom. Some people have to do things that make them not sleep well at night so you can sleep well, but, well, that's a real bummer, and I think Itachi deserves a break after everything that's happened. Let's see a world where he's given every opportunity. Let's see if he still chooses to be selfless and give it all up for others. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check that you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Our story begins during the Third Shinobi World War, when Itachi is brought to the battlefield by Fugaku. In the distance, he hears a cry for help. Rushing over, he kneels down. Water. Pulling from behind him a water skin, Itachi opens the top and offers some. The wounded man goes to take a sip and sees Itachi is an Uchiha. I have you now, you little twerp, he thinks to himself as he grabs his weapon. But before he can even swing his blade, Itachi has already slit his throat. Fugaku appears next to him. Why did he try to do that, father? Fugaku puts his hand on Itachi's shoulder. Because that's war, son. It's brutal. No matter what, the goal boils down to fight or surrender. He chose to fight. This was Itachi's first taste of war, his first view of its consequences. People fought and died on the battlefield, lives were lost, and futures were irreparably altered, all because a single council of men decided it was best to march their men into the meat grinder. As Itachi looked down upon this man, he wondered what would have happened had he survived. Perhaps he could have gone on to become a Kage. Perhaps he would have become a doctor and contributed services to medical science. Perhaps if he had lived, he would have saved millions. But now that life had been snuffed out. Itachi hated that. Absolutely hated it. But upon returning to Konoha, he found it lively and hopping. When he had been on the battlefield for the first time, Fugaku had knelt down to him and asked him what he had saw. And now that they were back in Konoha, seeing the people clamoring, joking, going about their business, Fugaku once more knelt down. Itachi, what do you see? Itachi saw the exact opposite of the battlefield. Instead of restlessness, pain, fear, and hate, he saw peace, joy, calm, and love. Upon returning home, Fugaku had but one more thing to say. He brought him to Makoto, who was sitting on the couch. Fugaku sat down. Do me a favor, Itachi. Place your head against your mother's stomach. Itachi did not understand, but he obliged. He put his head against his mother's stomach and closed his eyes. Suddenly, he felt a spark. A gentle laugh and a heart of hope, prospects for the future, a promise in the works of being fulfilled. A baby. Makoto fought a giggle. She placed her hand on Itachi's head. Fugaku pulled Itachi into his lap. What do you see, Itachi? Itachi looked up at his father curiously. My son, our Sharingan are a gift to us so that we may see the world. And it is very important to me. I want to know what it is that you see and what you think it means. So tell me, my precious son, what have you seen today? Itachi thought back. I saw pain. I saw war. I saw death. But now I see happiness, peace, life. He looked up at his father. What does it mean? Fugaku sat back, pulling his son into his embrace, letting him rest his head against his chest. This immediately brought calm to Itachi, the gentle rhythm of his father's heartbeat bringing him peace. Fugaku spoke. I showed you today the cost of fighting, but I showed you why we fight. I wanted you to see it, son. See what? Itachi asked, his large eyes turned up to meet his father. Fugaku smiled. The will of fire. Itachi was amazed by this. The will of fire? Itachi, we do not fight people because we hate them. We fight people because we love our home and those within. My son, would you describe yourself as a pacifist? Itachi nodded. Yeah, I don't want people to die. Fugaku nodded. Your pacifism is to save lives, correct? Itachi nodded again. Fugaku took a deep breath and continued. I am also a pacifist, but I will kill. Does that seem contradictory? Itachi nodded once more, confused. How could his father be a pacifist and yet still a warrior? How did such extreme concepts mesh? Fugaku explained it to him. I don't kill to destroy. I kill to protect. If I didn't fight, more people would die than would if I did. The peace of this village and the innocent people inside of it, they would all die. What good is pacifism if it refuses to save that which it is vowed to protect? There may be times, Itachi, when you're asked to make a hard decision. One person for hundreds. One village for a world. As a man of peace, I go to war. And I go to war to ensure that one day peace may return. I defeat those who would kill so that the innocent may live. To me, that is true pacifism. The power to defend life, even if I must dirty my conscience. Itachi looked to his mother and to her belly where his new sibling was just starting to get a grasp on life. But aren't the others we're fighting trying to do the same? Fugaku nodded. Indeed they are. Itachi looked back at him with serious eyes. Then why do we fight at all? Fugaku thought about it. Sometimes I ask myself the same thing. The reasons nations go to war have very little hold on why I fight, why many of us fight. In the end, we're all the same. The lines on the map only exist on paper, and the banners that separate us are as changeable as the clothes we wear. We're all the same, floating on this little rock, and to a point, I believe we all deep down, at our core, all want the same thing, peace. That's why, when I fight, I offer honor to my enemy. It's why I am not cruel. If I must kill, I do so quickly and cleanly, without pain, without fear, without hesitation. Because I know at home, they possibly have their own Itachi waiting for them, and I respect their desire to protect that. The will of fire is not a concept that is owned by any one nation. Everyone we face in some way possesses their own will of fire, and their own Nindo. Not always, but most of the time. I wanted you to see this today, to show you what it is we fight for, what we sacrifice for. Freedom is not free. We pay the cost so that our village and the people within can live their life without fear. Do you understand? Itachi thought about this for quite some time, his eyes darting around as his mind went into overdrive, but eventually an answer was achieved. So, war is peace. Or more like, peace comes through war. We defend peace with war? Fugaku nodded. Yes, war is a tool, just like a kunai. We use it and the threat of it to maintain peace. War is not the absence of peace, it's just the tool with which those who hope to defend peace accomplish their goal. Just as not everyone who wields a weapon is evil, not everyone who goes to war seeks destruction. Just as the criminal and the police both possess lethal weapons, one uses it to harm for gain and the other uses it to deter for the defense of others. This is what war is, Itachi. Maybe not to everyone, but to me, that's what war is. Itachi's wide eyes stared deep into his father's. I now know why you showed me this stuff. I must be strong. I gotta be strong to protect innocent people. And I must be overwhelmingly strong so I can win without killing. And if I must kill, I must be strong enough to do it without hurting the other person. Fugaku lifted Itachi up in his arms, high above his head. Yes, my son, you understand. That's why I showed you this today. It's important for you to see and to know. He lowered Itachi down to his face and snuck a peck at the child's cheek. He sat him down beside him. Itachi turned around to face Makoto and hugged her. He felt her arm wrap around him to embrace him. All the while, he continued to search for the little chakra sitting deep inside. In his heart, he vowed he would protect it forever. He would be strong, and he would defend it. Even if the world raged against it, Itachi would be standing there between it and the world, ready to protect, no matter what. Itachi made good on his promise to his father. He honed his skills and grew stronger. His free time was spent training. Itachi was already exceptional compared to other students, but he was training even further, and his strength and potential was beginning to show through, which was astounding to the teachers at the academy. During this time, he would meet a little girl named Izumi who was about his age. Itachi was a little distant toward her, but she could continue to coax Itachi into talking with her with a few sweets. Mochi was Itachi's weakness. If Superman had kryptonite, Itachi had mochi. The two, even if Itachi was a bit too scared to admit it, were growing closer. But sadly, it was not long after their first meeting that the nine-tailed demon fox attacked. In a panic, she rushed to Itachi and asked for his protection. At this time, Itachi was already protecting his little brother. His parents were out at the time, and it was believed that the Uchiha had something to do with the attack, so they were forced to defend the perimeter, despite being capable of saving the village. It was during this attack that Itachi would stand with Sasuke in his arm and Izumi in his hand and make the executive decision to move toward the shelter. It was on the way there that they met Makoto, who would take control of the situation. But just then, debris was making its way toward the group. Itachi would jump high into the air and destroy it with his incredible strength. Makoto could only watch this in awe of his power. Proud of her child, they continued on to the shelter. There, they were safe, and eventually the attack came to an end. But this wasn't the end of hardships. The immediate threat was gone, but the threat of other villages taking advantage of the situation was in the back of everyone's mind. Due to the village being devastated, various clans needed to be moved during reconstruction efforts. One of these clans being the Uchiha, who were still under investigation. They would be moved to the edge of the village. This was retaliation, and that wasn't the only issue they faced. Itachi faced it in school quite a bit, where he was targeted by other students who demanded that he apologize and make amends for his clan, though Itachi never truly did. This did lead to fights, but they were mostly one-sided ones. It was Itachi's raw strength and potential that caught the eyes of the academy's teachers. It was due to these abilities that he graduated at the young age of 7. Despite the hardships and the fights, Izumi was always close with Itachi. She was, in reality, Itachi's first friend, something Itachi rarely allowed himself to have. He was exceptional, but the reason why he didn't allow himself to have friends wasn't because he believed himself better than them, but it was because he believed that it was best for him to protect them from a distance. But it was Izumi who opened his mind and showed him that it was okay for him to have friends, to do as he pleased, to enjoy life in the village instead of being obsessed with defending it only. As a member of Team 2, he ended up in a team with one of the boys that seemed to hold a grudge against the Uchiha, Tenma Izumo. Tenma's uncle had been killed in the Nine-Tails attack, and Tenma seemed very distrusting of the Uchiha, and particularly Itachi. Together they would do many missions. It was on one such mission that Team 2 were escorting the Fire Daimyo. It was a true honor, and it was more or less designed to be a mission of ceremony. They were there to look pretty, but only later did they realize that a true assassin was attempting to kill the Daimyo. Their mentor, Yuki Minazuki, was the first to fall. Itachi already knew that they were in trouble. He could just tell that this man was stronger than they. He attempted to think the situation through, but Tenma, ever reckless, rushed headlong into danger. The masked man saw this boy as foolish, weak, ignorant. He showed the boy exactly what it meant to cross him, but as he did so, he saw Itachi rush up beside Tenma with his kunai. The man managed to slice them. Both boys hit the ground. Perhaps Itachi was just as foolish as the other. Or was he? Itachi did not fall. Tenma hit his knees, but Itachi remained standing. He turned around, his torso bleeding, a slice across his arm. All the same, his Sharingan was burning in his eyes. He rushed toward the man with his kunai and attempted to strike at him, passing right through. However, as the masked man went to retaliate, a kunai put a chip in his mask. The masked man was impressed by Itachi's feats and elected to let him live. Sadly, on that day, the Fire Daimyo died, but Itachi survived. Shinko Inari, the third member of the team, rushed to Itachi and Tenma. Itachi laid there, blood seeping from a wound. Tenma looked down and found that he too was bleeding, but Itachi had taken the brunt of it. "Itachi, why would you do that for me?" he asked. "After everything I've said about you and your clan, after all the things I said and did, why would you do this for me?" Itachi smiled through bloodied teeth. "Because you're my friend." Shinko began attempting to heal Itachi using beginner medical ninjutsu. She didn't know much, but she could at least apply first aid. It was due to Shinko that Itachi survived that day, and it was due to Itachi that Tenma survived. But it wasn't without its own cost. Itachi found himself standing in front of the bathroom mirror one day, looking at the scar that passed across the lowest of his ribs. His finger passed across it, his face slightly disturbed. Fugaku passed by the bathroom and stopped. "What are you doing?" Itachi quickly pulled his shirt down. Fugaku gave a smirk. "I never took you for the self-conscious type. Are you maybe afraid of what that Izumi girl might think?" Itachi shook his head no, but it was obvious that it was so. Fugaku smiled. He stepped into the bathroom for a moment and removed his shirt. "Take a look." Fugaku's body from front to back was littered in deep scars. "Each of these are a source of pride for me, Itachi. Each one is proof that I can show to tell the village how much I love it. I look at my scars and I use them to count how many lives I've saved. How many lives did you save with that scar? He asked. Itachi just held up one finger. And if you could take it back now, would you have let Tenma die? Itachi shook his head no. Fugaku pat his son's head. These marks we bear are proof of the love we have for others. Be proud of them. Fugaku put his shirt back on and stepped out of the bathroom. He stopped, however, at the door and peeked back. Oh, and by the way, girls dig the scars, he said with a sly smile and a wink. Itachi was left there, face flushed as he thought about it. That's such a cool scar, Itachi, Izumi said as she looked at it. Itachi pushed his hair out of his face. Yep, it hurts so much, but I pushed through the pain because I knew if I passed out there, my friends would die, he said with a hint of pride. So I took my headband off and wrapped it around my wound and pulled out 7 kunai, one between each finger on both hands and one from my mouth, and charged in. I beat the assailant so badly that he had to flee, his body covered in thousands of scars worse than this one. Izumi smiled at this lie and kissed his cheek. I think you were very brave, Itachi. Itachi, blushing, waved it off as he hid the scar from view with his shirt. No, it's my duty. As a shinobi, I gotta be willing to even die for my squad. Izumi smiled. I think that deserves a reward. She pulled out some mochi, to which Itachi tripped over himself just to get. But realizing he just exposed his childlike nature to her, he attempted to backtrack and return to his cool demeanor. Izumi offered him his mochi, and he took it with a smile. Itachi would eat it, and upon finishing, he stood. Where are you going? Izumi asked. He attempted to play it cool. Just to go train alone in the mountains. I need to be my strongest the next time the demon fox shows up. She stood. Yeah, I guess it is getting a little late. I think I'll go home now too. Good luck with your training, Itachi. Izumi would make her way off. Itachi couldn't help but smile as he watched her skip away. He made good on his promise to train, however, making his way to the mountains where he would hone his skills. Every so often, he would stop as he would come up with another cool line to use on Izumi. He would write it down in a book before continuing. Suddenly, a voice from behind him spoke. What's this supposed to be? Riz training? Itachi turned back, his Sharingan active, a kunai in each hand. There was another boy standing there, an older boy, an Uchiha. Who are you? The boy put the book down. Just an Uchiha passing through. I see you're out here training. I've been looking for a worthy sparring partner, and you're the only person in this generation of shinobi that I think could hold your own. Would you like to try? Itachi lowered his stance. I don't see why not. And so the two sparred. Itachi moved quickly through the trees, but Shisui, as the boy was called, was quicker. He moved around, his body flickering so quickly that it looked like he was teleporting. In the end, Itachi didn't stand much of a chance and was defeated by Shisui. The new Uchiha stood there coolly, attempting to appear as if it was nothing at all. You're pretty strong, Itachi, but you could be stronger. I've decided. You will be my training partner. You've decided? Do I not get a choice in this? Shisui raised a brow. Oh, do you not want to grow stronger with me? I didn't say that, Itachi said. Shisui smiled. I thought so. Shisui jumped up into the trees. Meet me here at about 6 p.m. in the evening. We'll train as hard as possible. From there, Itachi and Shisui trained on a daily basis, having their daily sparring match, giving each other advice on ways to improve. And yes, this was a two-way street. Shisui was surprised at the ways Itachi knew how to get strong. He taught Shisui things Shisui had never thought of, and in return, he taught Itachi a few things too. This became the grounds for a budding rivalry between two like-minded individuals, which would only get more intense as time went along. Itachi's abilities skyrocketed as Shisui helped teach him how to access the latent potential Itachi still had. This led to Itachi's prowess being observed by the third Hokage himself, and admittance into the Chunin exams. Itachi remembered coming home that day from a mission, letter in hand. He walked into his home and called out to his parents. Sasuke was the first to greet him, his tiny arms wrapping around Itachi's waist, holding him in a tight embrace. You're home, Sasuke said with a sparkle in his eye and a smile in his face. Can you train with me now? He asked. Itachi smiled at his younger brother and simply tapped his forehead. Maybe next time. Sasuke huffed, his cheeks puffed out. You always say that and it never happens. Itachi gave a bit of a laugh. I got big news today, so I can't. Sasuke seemed to forget all about the training. Big news? What is it? Let's wait for Mom and Dad. After a while, Makoto and Fugaku appeared. What is it? Makoto asked. Itachi presented the letter to them. Fugaku opened it and looked in. Entrance to the Chunin exams. Fugaku looked up. But I thought Yuki said the team wasn't ready. Itachi nodded. Read down a little. Fugaku kept reading. Solo admittance. Fugaku looked up. You've received permission for solo admittance to the Chunin exams? A grin broke out across Fugaku's face. "My boy, tonight we celebrate. We're going to the steakhouse." And so they did. They went out to eat to celebrate. Now, for anyone wondering why Fugaku would be surprised by solo admittance, the Chunin exams are a team thing. Generally, the entire team joins the exams together, so for Itachi to get in, normally he would need to have Tenma and Shinko join with him, but they weren't ready. Yet Itachi was admitted alone. That speaks to the confidence that Hiruzen had in Itachi, that he believed that not only is he ready at such a young age to go through the exams, but that he would be able to do the work of an entire team all alone. This already puts Itachi at being expected to be 3 times stronger than the average Genin, perhaps closer to 3 times stronger than the average Chunin. This served as a testament to Itachi's true potential and set him up as the pride of the Uchiha. As the exams rolled around, Itachi took the written test and managed to get a perfect score somehow, which astounded the proctor. The test was designed to see how gutsy the shinobi were, but all it did was prove just how intelligent Itachi was. He had managed to answer questions that even the proctor might have had issues with. Despite him not exactly feeling the true meaning of the test, he still passed. This moves on to the Forest of Death, where Itachi has to get the Scroll of Heaven to match his Scroll of Earth, and make it to the arena at the center of the forest. For Itachi, this was as simple as walking up and taking it, as few were strong enough to tell him no. He managed to complete the test in record time, though he believed he could have completed it even quicker if he managed to find someone bearing a Heaven Scroll earlier. Considering how fast this was, he had practically 3 days off from the test to do as he pleased. Most of this time he spent with his family and training with Shisui. Shisui did, however, take it easy on Itachi, considering that he had to complete the exams and didn't want to risk Itachi getting hurt before he could. So, in the end, after a short training session, the two decided to do a little fishing. After all, there was more to being a shinobi than fighting, and learning how to sustain yourself off the land was a big part of it. Itachi would sit there and cast a line out beside Shisui. Shisui would look over at his rival. "So, how are things between you and Izumi?" Itachi thought it over for a moment with a solemn look on his face. "Not as great as I had hoped." Shisui looked over, confused. "What's wrong?" Itachi thought about it. "She's a shinobi, just like me, and we rarely get to see each other anymore. I'm out on mission when she's just getting back, and when I'm just getting back, she's out on a mission. I'm worried that because we don't have enough time together that we'll grow apart." Shisui smiled and looked up into the orange sky. "That's the dilemma of a shinobi. Our job always pulls us out of the village. It's hard for us to balance personal lives with work lives, and it's hard to maintain a relationship, even if it's a relationship with only one shinobi. If both are shinobi, it becomes even harder." "What am I supposed to do?" Itachi asked. Shisui looked down. "Don't see me with a girlfriend, do you?" Shisui cast his line again. "You come to me like I've got all the answers, bro, but I don't know how to fix this situation." Itachi seemed to deflate at the comment. "Oh." Shisui took a double take and shook his head with a pitying grin. "You know who does?" "Who?" Itachi asked as he looked at his friend once more. "Your parents," Shisui said simply. "Your father and mother both were shinobi when they first met. Maybe they can offer you some insight about making it work." Itachi smiled. "You're right. I should ask them." Later on that night, Itachi returns home with his homemade fishing rod and 3 fish. He walks in and places the fish into the cooler and sets his pole to the side. He walks past the bathroom and hears Sasuke splashing around. He would then move to the living room where he would find his parents sitting in a competition to see who could solve the day's word jumble the quickest. Itachi knocked on the doorframe. Makoto looked up at him. "Hey, baby, what's up?" "I was wondering if I could talk to you about something," Itachi said. "Sure, come on in," Fugaku beckoned. He looked to Makoto. "Time out, no cheating." He set the paper to the side. "What is it?" Itachi took a seat. "I wanted to ask you about you and Mom's relationship when you first met." Fugaku and Makoto looked to each other for a moment with a barely hidden smirk before looking back. "What do you wish to know?" "How did you guys make it work when you were both still shinobi?" "I know Mom eventually quit to take care of me and Sasuke, but you were both shinobi when you got married, so, how did you make it work?" Fugaku lowered his reading glasses. "Aren't you a little too young to be asking about marriage, Itachi?" Makoto slapped Fugaku in the elbow with the newspaper. "Don't be like that, he's just curious." Makoto took her own reading glasses off. "When me and your father first met, I was 20 and he 24. We were both jonin at the time, and it was during the Third Shinobi World War. During that time, it was rare to have any time away from battle, and when we did, we rarely had time to see each other, as our deployments didn't match up, nor did our leaves. We met each other on the battlefield, actually. I ended up wounded and was sent home to recover. But you know what your father did?" Itachi sat forward as he listened. "What?" Makoto smiled. He sent me letters every day. That's how we did it. We sent letters and talked about everything we'd been up to. For me, at that time, that was mostly fighting, Fugaku said. Makoto nodded. But that's how we kept it alive so long. Talking. Communication. It was pretty hard, Fugaku said. And there were times when we didn't think it would work out, Makoto said. But we kept trying. And eventually, we both ended up wounded at the same time. Fugaku smirked when she said that. Let's be real. I walked into that minefield on purpose. I just wanted to see you again. Makoto laughed a little. It wasn't long after that we were married. And it wasn't much further past that I had a reason to leave my time as a shinobi behind. What reason? Itachi asked. Makoto walked over and knelt down to him and booped his nose. You, Itachi. Fugaku slowly pulled up the paper and began quickly scanning it with his Sharingan. Makoto turned around, her own 3 Tomoe Sharingan staring holes into him. I thought we agreed no cheating. He put the paper down slowly and looked away. Makoto looked at Itachi with a smile. I, like your father, think it's too early for you to be worrying about such things, Itachi. You're only 10. You're soon to become a chunin. You don't need to grow up too fast. Just give it time and it'll work out all on its own, okay? Itachi nodded. Makoto would give Itachi a kiss on the cheek. Now, let me get Sasuke out of the bath. I'm sure you're ready for bed. The exhibitions were the next thing to occur after the Forest of Death. Fugaku and Makoto had front row seats with Sasuke in their laps. You can do it, Itachi, Sasuke said, his face painted up like a kabuki, the kanji for Itachi painted on his cheeks. If there had been a foam finger with Itachi's name on it, Sasuke would be waving it around. Itachi was standing there, his Sharingan active. His opponent was another about his age, from the Aburame clan. The boy, Yoji, looked up into the stands at Danzo, whose eyes narrowed a bit before offering a nod. Yoji returned his attention to Itachi. Itachi would race at Yoji as the battle began, Yoji creating a wall out of his bugs. Itachi would pull away from them, skidding to a halt before backflipping away. He would throw kunai with paper bombs attached to them at the wall of bugs, hoping to blow them up. But amazingly, the bugs moved to the side to avoid them. This was odd to Itachi. The bugs were supposed to be a defensive wall to stop attacks. Why would they move out of the way? Unless, what if they weren't a defensive wall? What if they were? He dodged down, just narrowly missing a kick to the back of his head. Yoji would move in aggressively, pushing Itachi on the defensive. Itachi would cross arms with his opponent, pushing each palm strike away from him. Both of them stomped at the ground and kicked, hoping to put the other on the ground. Itachi felt his feet being swept out from under him, so he simply transitioned into a handstand where he gripped the arm of Yoji with his feet and twisted, flipping Yoji over him. Itachi stood, planning to finish him off when suddenly bugs began to fly around him. They were larger than the others. One of them landed on Itachi's arm and stung it. Itachi let out a muffled cry as the area on his arm swelled. He was having a hard time moving his arm. Poison, Itachi said. He shook his head. Itachi kicked the air and struck out, hoping to take the bugs out before they could touch him. This was Yoji's plan, however. Yoji was aware that he had won already. He just needed to let the poison do its work, and by making Itachi move faster, he was expediting the poison. And now that he had one arm out of commission, the battle was all but over. However, Yoji was surprised to find Itachi racing toward him. Yoji raised his hands to defend. Itachi struck out with an open palm. Yoji caught it with his own and put Itachi on the ground, holding him there. You're beaten. Submit or die, the boy said, his voice sounding like a conjunction of bug buzzes. Itachi smiled as he looked at his own hand. Yoji looked down at it too. Itachi began using Yoji's hand to complete his own hand seals. Great fireball jutsu, Yoji asked in surprise. He backed away as quickly as possible as Itachi let out a breath of flames like an ancient dragon, burning all the bugs away. Yoji sat there and attempted to get his bearings. However, before he could get up, Itachi put his knee on Yoji's neck. Submit or die, Itachi said, heavily out of breath, his entire left arm and left cheek purple from the poison. Yoji would then tap out, marking Itachi as the winner. The crowd roared his name. Itachi, Itachi, Itachi. From the Hokage's box, Danzo, sitting behind Hiruzen, seemed satisfied. Itachi was the champion of the exams and was officially deemed a chunin. Itachi would return home from this and continue to work as a chunin for the next couple months, until Itachi was sleeping in. He lay there, dead to the world, until suddenly he felt something light upon his bed. He opened his eyes cautiously. It was Sasuke, Makoto, and Fugaku. Happy birthday, Itachi! Itachi's eyes widened a little. He sat up. It's my birthday? And for that day, they celebrated. Itachi smiled. His family was there, his friends, and the rest of his clan. Shisui, even Izumi made it. The fact that they had all come specifically to wish him a happy birthday was enough to make him want to cry. After the song finished, Makoto gave her son a kiss on the cheek. Make a wish and blow out the candles. Itachi sat there for a moment, considering what his wish might be. He took a second to look around and think about it. If wishes came true, then there was one thing he wanted most. Hurry up, Itachi, I want cake, Shisui called out. Itachi smiled. I think I got it. He took a deep breath in and sat forward. Suddenly, the candles were blown out by wind release. Itachi, still holding the breath in his lungs, looked up to see a man bandaged and elderly, a cane in his hand and a stoic look upon his face. Greetings, Itachi. Do you know who I am? The man asked. I do, Itachi said. You're Lord Danzo. To what do I owe the honor? Danzo's stoic face turned to a smile. I've come to make a proposition. And that's where I think I'm gonna call it for this video. I'm not gonna lie, this is a fun change of pace. To get to see a happy Itachi. The chance to do the things that he was always meant to do. I hope you all enjoyed this. I won't lie, I had a lot of fun writing this one, and I particularly was into the battle at the end there. I'm interested to see where Itachi will go after this. I hope you'll join me for that. Be sure to leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the story and where you want it to go, and any other stuff you might want to see me make a video about. And if you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like to show that. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when we drop more videos like this. And until next time, peace out.
Did you enjoy our video? Well then be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.